right, so today I'm with my good friend and #1 termite inspector, Brett Rockwell, the owner of Rockwell Pest Inspections. Now, you've been around forever, it feels like, before I was born.
It feels definitely before you were born.
Yeah. So I have so many questions today. I'm curious, what areas do you service? What regions?
So we service basically most of Southern California. We'll do Pasadena. Our border is more or less a 605, the adjoining cities to that. We'll do into Orange County. Love going to Newport Beach. We'll go all the way down to San Juan Capistrano, Temecula area, Hemet, as well as the high desert. Some regions we don't go to. We don't do Palm Springs area just because of drive time in areas. But we just want to make sure that we offer a fast service when people are calling.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it seems like you guys go everywhere because
Pretty much.
I've sent him to many different areas, and you guys.
Hey, if the dollar's right, I'll tell you, we had a call for the Beverly Hills, the Bel Air Crest fumigation, right? And I said, no, we don't go there. And they go, well, there's $18,000 for the tent. I go, I'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah, be there tomorrow. So, how are you able to detect if there's some sort of infestation of some sort?
So it's a double-edged sword answer. So as a homeowner, what you're looking for is the obvious signs are going to be stuff like your patio rotting and falling down. So when we're doing an inspection, we're actually a wood-destroying organism inspection company. Now that doesn't roll off the tongue as well, so I just say I'm Brett the termite guy.
Yeah.
But in reality, we're doing a wood-destroying organism inspection. So obvious signs for termites specifically is going to be lots of flying ants inside of your house.
Oh.
So if you ever, when I get to a house, I say, hey, have you ever had flying ants in your house? And people stop and pause and think, and I go, no, you haven't. So you'll come into your kitchen and your bathroom and you'll have 5 or 6 flying ants inside your kitchen and bathroom. That's an obvious indicator of termite swarms.
Got it.
Also, salt and pepper pellets falling out of wall frames. Had a good friend of mine sent me a video. He's sitting on his couch and pellets were falling onto his head out of the wall. And he looked up and a little kick out on the wall where the pellets were coming on his head. So anytime
That's
you see
insane.
pellets
Okay.
or lots of flying ants inside of your house, it's a pretty good indicator you have termites.
Okay. So is there any sort of timeline? Like if I've owned my house for 10 years, would you recommend that, man, I probably need to call Brett to see if we have termites?
So there's structures and there's the guesses, right?
Okay.
So we always recommend having every single home inspected every 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Even brand new homes. Things can change, moisture conditions change. That's part of the wood destroying organism inspection.
Sure.
So even a brand new house, have it checked every 2 years because you could have sprinklers hitting some siding, you could have a hose hitting a garage door leg,
Right.
water damage,
Right.
Any number of factors.
And then let me interrupt you, Brett, because when we built our 24th property in Los Angeles, the buyer's agent asked for a termite inspection, and
Sure, why not? It's a brand new house.
I was like, oh, that's interesting. Okay, but we'll do it. And, he was a good agent. Good thing that he did, because they found a termite infestation, and it was because, during construction, it just had a swarm that took over. And
Yeah, so either the wood actually they built the house with had drywood termites in it, which is possible now because they're churning out these materials a lot quicker, and so the termites can swarm into the wood, they build the house afterwards.
Yep.
Or during the course of exposed framing, the termites swarm into the house and then start the infestation that way.
yeah, I think it was B.
Could be either or, 6 to 1, half dozen the other. So every 2 years for sure, 100%. If you've been in a house for 10 years, you can guess, budgeting-wise, that the house needs a fumigation. And so now construction to 1978 is when California changed its codes. On average, about every 10 years, you tend to house.
Okay.
1978 to about 1955 is the next kind of grade of materials, the density of the wood. It's about every 15 years. And then 55 to like the 1920s is about every 20 years.
Okay.
So if you've been in your house for 30 years and you've never fumigated your house, there's a statistical likelihood that drywood termites have extended in inaccessible areas, and a fumigation is the best option recommended to kill all the termites.
Got it. Well, that's really good to know. All right. So, Brett, are there certain areas that are more prone to termite problems?
Definitely. So it's based on wind patterns sometimes. It's also based on economic conditions. So you'll have certain cities that have longer home retention and certain types of borrowing practices for properties. So I'll pick on 2 cities which are really anomalies. So like the city of Brea. Brea has a higher home retention. The average homeowner in Brea lives in their home for 27 years.
Yep.
So traditionally, when you're in a home for longer periods of time, you're not having it inspected, and inspections prevent treatment, and so those termites are transferring back and forth on a regular basis. Additionally, you have homes like Diamond Bar. Diamond Bar has a 71% buyers purchasing with cash, which means no financing, which means traditionally not doing inspections. So those two cities specifically, you're going to have higher termite populations just from the fact of lack of application. Certain homes like in the beach cities, those areas are more conducive to drywood termites specifically. Subterranean termites, you're going to find more in areas with higher raised foundation areas. Areas like Glendora, where the majority of homes are raised foundation. So yeah, beach cities are always a problem. You'll see the belt lines going through the United States where Texas, Louisiana, Florida, Hawaii, massive subterranean termite populations, but you'll find those little pocket cities which have more traditionally than other areas for those reasons.
Got it. Makes sense. Yeah, I mean, you did my father-in-law's house in Brea, and yeah, he had quite the amount of termites there. So yeah.
And amount is relative, right?
Yeah.
Some people find them in a raft tail, like I want to fumigate my house, and other people have them in 13 separate parts of the house, and like I want to treat it. So everybody's idea is that, but it's more or less putting a plan together. How long are you going to be in your house? When's the last time you're going to fumigate it? Are you going to keep it as a rental? We're dealing with a lot of people right now where they may have only been in their house for a couple of years, but if they're looking at a really good interest rate, they're going to be forced to keep that as a rental and purchase another property, so don't lose that interest rate. So there's a lot of questions that come into place. Maybe fumigation isn't the best option based on circumstances.
Definitely. Yeah. And you also bring up a good point. A lot of times when people are buying all cash and they're not, financing, and they just, again, they just want to get their offer accepted in that market we were in, a year or two ago, they're willing to waive the termite inspection. Now that the market's slowed down a little bit, you're probably a lot busier than you were maybe in 2021. And yeah, I think it's really important that your agent really is able to assess, because there's some houses where I'm like, yeah, we're definitely asking for a termite inspection. I don't care how many offers they have.
Well, we'll pick on the city of Eastvale, where Eastvale is no longer a new town.
Yeah.
And a lot of these homes in Eastvale are now 20 years old.
That's true.
And the first couple houses that I started finding drywood termites in the homes, I was a little shocked, and I go, oh, wait, these aren't new homes anymore. Just like I realized, I'm not 30 years old anymore. That's right, I forgot.
Yeah.
So even if you're doing cash financing or no financing, it's still super important. Pay the $105, get a termite inspection.
So that's how much it costs, is $105.
So right now, not adjusting for inflation, we're probably looking at price increases depending on a lot of different things. But yeah, $105. If you're a friend of Tessa, it's $105. How's that sound?
There we go. Special. Using my little coupon code.
Hashtag coupon code Tessa.
Yeah.
And Brian.
And Brian. Yeah, maybe Brian. Okay, Brett, so how often should a property be inspected for termites, especially in termite-prone areas?
I always recommend every 2 years.
Okay.
For a couple of different reasons. Number one is that definitely 2 years is the maximum. I tend to stay away from annual inspections because you do have a higher likelihood of having the same inspector back. And in harsh reality, I've been doing this for 25 years, and so there's a lot of harsh realities in the industry. If you have the same inspector back on an annual basis, they're going to go, oh, I was just here a year ago. It's probably fine, and they are probably more likely to do a less thorough inspection overall. So by doing it every other year, you're still going to be ahead of the curve. You're still going to be able to do local treatments versus fumigations, but you're more likely to have not the same inspector as often, but they're also going to look at it differently as more potential. So from a homeowner situation, you want the inspector that's going to hard find everything. He's going to look to make money. You want that as a buyer's inspection as well. I want the guy that's looking for everything because I want you to find everything. As a buyer or as a homeowner and not in a real estate transaction, you want them to find every single damn thing there is.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. And I would say a question that I have that I've observed, I've been in real estate for 9 years now, and I've seen a lot of companies come and go. So what would you say, what is different about your company, and how have you been able to maintain the 25-year service that you've been able to provide?
So I always tell people, I said, number one, I'm horrible at sales, I'm really good at service. And my focus is that we are trying to make sure that the customer has a good experience with us, and we're going to try to benefit the customer. So when it comes to seller's inspections for real estate, we're trying to my goal is to work with your clients to make sure your clients net the most amount of money possible. Now, if we happen to get paid off of that, that's great, that's awesome. If we don't, hey, it is what it is. We get our $105 inspection fee. But at the end of that day, hopefully the client has a good experience with you, and they tell people, hey, Tess is the greatest realtor in the history of the world, and Brian, and they want you to sell more houses that way. And then if you sell more houses, we get more inspections, and we're working off of a volume versus trying just to hit and go.
Got it. What's the craziest termite inspection you've ever been involved in? Like the craziest, like the most infested house ever?
Infested house. No, that was two different questions
I
in
know,
itself.
'cause I'm like, what?
So we had, let's see here. So the worst one we ever did was a property in San Juan Capistrano.
Okay.
And that house sold for $7 million about 10 years ago, to give you the scale perspective. Right? So
Okay.
it was a
Sure.
house,
Yeah.
7,000 square foot. The repairs was $40,000 on that one, and the fumigation was $7,000 on that one. So 47,000 total. Mind you, about 10 years ago for adjusting for inflation.
Right.
We just did one last month in Redlands, and it's a house on a hill, drive over balcony, and that one was about $54,000 total was the estimate to correct the house. We're talking weeks of repairs on it. We completed a property in Fontana a year and a half ago. That was $34,000 in fumigation repairs. And then we did a mansion in Bel Air Crest with Fresh Prince. Not actually with Prince, but we did that one, and that fumigation was $18,000 for that one. But that's a large scale house.
Yeah.
So there's hits and misses.
Sure.
But I mean, we do a few thousand inspections a year, and roughly about 30% of our inspections are clear with no termites and no fungus. But we've done some $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 jobs before.
So is it easy to say the older the home, normally like there'll be some sort of infestation?
It's hit and miss because, again, the older homes are better quality.
Okay.
So I would say homes in the 80s are kind of the scary ones because the quality of construction, the quality of materials is lesser. Moisture penetration can get into the wood framing a lot worse.
Okay.
Composition shingle roofs are traditionally worse than tile roofs because the composition shingle roofs will break down more. But I've checked 100-year-old houses that are clear. I've checked brand new houses that have termites in them.
Yeah.
We just don't know.
Just don't know. So like a tip from Brett would be,
So even on new construction homes, if you're building a new construction home, you're doing an ADU, there are preventative services. Borax is basically, I call it magic salt. So there's applications you can do to wood framing to prevent termites from coming in. It acts as a desiccant and makes the wood inedible to termites in the future. So like if you have a raised foundation house and you have a subfloor, you want to treat that, or you have detached garages, or if you're building a new construction home, and you can get about 5 years lasting on that, which will just increase that lifespan of a house. So there's a couple preventative treatments for that.
okay, yeah, good to know. So what kind of impact, Brett, do termite infestations have on property value and integrity?
So termites cause more damage each year than earthquakes, fires, and tornadoes combined.
Really? Now that is a fun fact.
Yep, fun fact. If depending on who you voted for, they also create more methane than anything else in the world related to global climate change.
Oh, wow.
Asterisk, disclaimer, filter there. So yeah, they consume a massive amount of methane because they're consuming wood 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Drywood termites will consume about 2 feet per year of wood. Subterranean termites will eat about 5 feet per year of wood. So they will eat your house left alone far enough times. I mean, subterranean termites will eat your house. The desert regions, Formosan termites are coming up, and they will eat your whole house. So yeah, they'll eat your house.
Interesting. Well, thank you so much, Brett, for chatting with me today. And thank you again for always taking good care of my clients. I really, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate that. And so if anybody wants to get in contact with you, how can they do so?
You can contact the office, 909-991-8447.
Okay.
You can go on the website, www, that's how you know you're old when you say www, rockwellpest.com, that's P-E-S-T. And you can follow us on Instagram at Rockwell Pest Solutions. And if you're really saucy, you can follow me on Instagram.
And he's really funny on Instagram. I love following him because he just cracks me up all the time.
I just always say, watch me on mute unless you're alone, but it's at the Bug Guru.
Yes, I love your Instagram. So thank you again for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.